Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be about NFS server configuration running in HA environment. Okay, in my tutorial about RHEL Pacemaker cluster, I have prepared 5 videos so far, and those are the videos as such. The first one is initial installation of 2-node cluster, and second video was about fencing or configuration of STONIT in VMware environment, and third video which I have prepared, which is for how to assign a shared LAN in VMware environment, and fourth video was about configuration of DLM and CLVMD, and the last video which I have prepared in this tutorial was about JFS2 file system configuration. Okay, so all this video, if you have not watched, please watch all these videos. I have given this videos link in the description so that it will be easy to understand when I'm configuring a NFS server in this video. So if you have not watched, it would be probably a little difficult to understand what I'm doing in this video. So that is why I'm suggesting you to please watch all those 5 videos to have a better understanding. Okay, so to configure a NFS server in HA environment, you need few things. The first thing is I need a floating IP. So that floating IP, which is going to be used by all the NFS client server to access your NFS share. So that is why I need a floating IP. And second thing, I need a directory where all my NFS configuration information will available, and this is basically used by the cluster. So that is why we need this file system, and this file system should be shared among your nodes irrespective of nodes you are using. So I am using only 2 nodes here, so this file system should be available or shared in both the node. Okay, so third thing is I need a file system which I am going to share. So this is the file system which I am going to share for all my NFS client. So this is my file system. So there are 2 file system I need, one floating IP, and I need one primitive. That primitive is going to be a NFS server, and this primitive is nothing but your NFS service. So this primitive will ensure that your NFS service will stop. So NFS service stop. So this primitive will ensure that whenever I start a cluster, my NFS service will start, and whenever I move this NFS resource or resource group to another node in the cluster, this service should stop and start in the failover node. So those are the 4 requirement. Okay, so those are the 4 requirement you need to configure or you need to have before you are going to set up a HA NFS server. Right, so next step is I have one text file which I have prepared here and given the steps. So first steps which talk about to creating a DLM and CLVMD resource. So these are the 2 primitive which is required by your NFS servers or your cluster. So I have already created these 2 primitives and already created a constraint which is about order and collocation, which is a relationship between CLVMD and DLM in my 4th video. Okay, so if you have watched my 4th video about DLM and CLVMD configuration, you will have an idea about what are these primitives for. Okay, so these primitives I have already configured, and the locking type. So by default the locking type is 1, so you have to ensure that your locking type change to 3. So if I just grep for locking underscore type in /etc lvm.conf, I would be able to see the locking type is 3. So if you run this command lvm-conf -- enable cluster, it will ensure that your locking type is changed to 3. So default it is locking type equal to 1. So once you run this command, it will become 3. Okay, so this is the next steps, and finally once you have done so far, you have to create LV and file system. So for that, let me just minimize a little like this and show you how to create them. So if I just do a PVS, I can see there is one disk which is available and shared between the nodes. So let me just remove it, and to show you from the beginning, sorry, PV remove, it is already there, so I need to just remove it. PV remove, it is wiped, and now if I do a PVS, I do not see this is available. So let me do one more thing. Let me just clean that up and do a watch -n1 in every 1 second. It should look for PVS, LVS and VGS. Okay, so currently I have only one PV, 2 LVs running under RHEL VG, and there is one VG. So let me go to the other node and let me create the PVs. PV create /dev sdb. So once I create a PV in this node 1, you can able to see same information has been populated to node 2 as well. So here I can see this is the PV, and next I need to create a VG create, and that is going to be a cluster. So that's why I need to specify -c, y is to yes, and my VG name. My VG is going to be demo VG, and the device is SDB. So once I create this VG, you can able to see demo VG is created, and you can see the flag NC. So C is stand for cluster. And next I need 2 file system, like I told you. So what I'm going to do, currently there is only 2 LV which is running under RHEL, and I'm going to create a new LV which is going to be 1 GB of size, the first LV, and the name is going to be demo LV and demo VG. This is my VG name. This is just ignore because I have formatted this LV XFS earlier, that is why this error or warning came. Okay, so here you can see there is one LV created, and let me create another LV which is demo LV1, and I need all the free size which is available inside demo VG. So for that I need to specify 100% free. Demo LV is my LV name, and this is fine. And now I can see there are 2 LV which I have created. So now my LV part is done. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to format them. So for that I need to format. The command is xfs mkfs xfs demo vg demo lv. So this is my first file system, and demo lv1 is my second file system. So both the file system formatted, done. So now next step is, let me just maximize again and go to other server here. Cancel this and check the steps again, NFS. So this is my VG primitive, and this is my first file system, which is going to be demo VG, and here it should be demo lv1. Anyway, I will going to change that, and the directory it is going to be mounted on NFS info dir, where my NFS file and folder is going to be resides, and this is the share file system which I am going to share it. So I need to ensure these two directories are created. So let me create NFS info dir and share. Let me just do for the another server as well, mk for I in RHEL01, RHEL02, do ssh -q $i run mkdir nfs info dir and share. So these two command needs to be run, and it is asking for my password. It is done. File exists, cannot create or not to. So ls ld nfs info dir. Okay, so file is already exist. Let me see the other directory. It is also available. So let me go inside this directory and ensure nothing is there. Okay, so I have created the directories on both the node. Let me go to node 1 and ensure whether that is available. Share and nfs info dir. So both the directories I have just created, and now next step is to create the primitives or the resource. Okay, so first resource is for my VG. So let me create this. Let me go to this server, clear the screen and run it here. So PCS resource create, I'm creating a resource which is my LVM resource. LVM minus RSE is the name, and primitive is LVM, and my VG is demo VG. Exclusive equal to true is like it is going to start by cluster, and a group where it is going to be. So you can specify this group later once you create this primitive, but to avoid that running again and again, I'm just specifying in one single command itself. So let me just create this group and this primitive. Done. So now if I do a crm underscore mon minus r1, I can able to see there is one resource created, but it is in stop state, and now you can see it is started in node 2. Fine. So the first primitive I created, and let me create the second primitive, which is for my shared file system. And group is grp nfs. I just mentioned it wrong there, and everything looks to be fine here. PCS resource create fsrsc file system. This is my device, this is my directory xfs file system, and it is going to be under nfs group. Done. So like this I need to create another file system, which is RSC1, and file system is demo lv1. This is the device, and it is going to mount under share. File system type is xfs and group is same. Done. So I have created two file system and one LVM primitive. So let me see whether they have been created. So I can see this is the group, and under this there are three primitives created. The first one is for LVM, which is my VG, demo VG, and other two are file system. Fine. So now next step is to have my floating IP. So like I told you in the beginning, I need a floating IP which is going to be used by all the clients to access my NFS share. So this is going to be my floating IP, and also I need to create a primitive for NFS server service. So this primitive will ensure that my NFS services are running. So now for example, if I just run systemctl status NFS minus server. You can see this service is not active or it is in stop state. Let me check that same thing in other node, status NFS server. So here I can see the same thing, it is not started, right? So this primitive will going to ensure that one. So let me just create one by one. So this is my primitive, and here it is, the group name is wrong, so need to change it to grp NFS, and netmask, my NIC information and IP, everything seems to be fine. And let me create this primitive. Done. And let me create the other primitive, which is for my NFS server service. PCS resource create, this is my resource name, NFS server is the resource agent, and this is my shared directory, this is my NFS IP, and group is grp NFS. Then let me just run this command and check whether everything is fine or not. NFS server service is still not started, and now it is just started, and I can see it is started in node 2. Great. So now if I just do a df-h, I can able to see in node 2 there are two file system which is mounted. One is info dir, NFS info dir. If I just go inside this, I will be able to see the files which is used by cluster. So those are the file which is going to be used by NFS server, and this is the share file system where it is going to use by the NFS clients. Okay, so the next step is I need to update my server information or share information in this file. So currently it is already updated, so I tested earlier, that is why it is available. Let me just remove this one. Okay, or you can just keep it, not an issue, because I'm going to do the same thing. So it would be like this one earlier, the blank, it should not be there anything there, etc export. So those lines wouldn't be there, so let me just remove it to show you from the scratch to avoid any confusion. So it should be like this, export, and you can see there is nothing inside this file. So now we have to update the information here. So let me just do share. This is my share file system which is going to access by clients, and it is going to be accessed by all. That is why I'm just specifying asterisk there, and read write going to be sync, you can specify async also, and no underscore root underscore squash. So this is let me just check the main page because I just forgot what is that name was. So it should be root underscore, let me just search like that. Yeah, so it should be like this, read write. Let me just copy and update here. my share is /share, and it is going to use by everybody. I can specify sync also here, sync. And so this is going to be used by root, and root should have all the rights. So this is what it means. Let me just make the change in other node as well. Just copy this, cancel, delete this line, and I update it here. So this is done. So now if I just get, okay, the resource group is currently in node 2, so dffnh, if I just go inside this directory and do a ls cat etf, and you can able to see the information which is available here. Okay, so if you want to, if you have made any change, you just need to do something like that, export fs -a or -av. This is just going to verbose output for my share. So now it is shared to root, and root should have all the rights. So now time to test it. So let me just bring my other node in the cluster. So currently it is RHEL01 and 02. Let me just bring this node up and try to test it. I just power it on, and I'm going to pause this video for probably 1 or 2 minutes because the system needs to come up, and once it is available I will resume back. And you can see my third server, which is going to be act as a client for my NFS server, and that is up. And now you can see this is SUSE server, SUSE release. So this is my SUSE server where I'm going to mount my file system, my NFS file system. Okay, so currently it is running the resource for my NFS share running in node 2. So if I just run crm_mon r1, I would be able to see. Okay, so I can see there is some fence device failed action. I need to clean that up, and there is some issue. It seems my fence device failed for some reason. Let me just check that up. Okay, so guys, there is a slight problem actually because of the load in my ESXi system. My StoreNet is acting funny, and it is keep on failing. So what I have done is I powered off this system to act as a NFS client and try to check, but since I have very less resource in this ESXi system, when I'm powering it off, I'm having an issue in my StoreNet device. So that is why I just power off that system, and instead I have powering off a different Red Hat system to act as an NFS client. So currently this system is in the process of booting up. So once this system is come up, we will try to access the NFS share through this system. Okay, so let me just go to my partition again, and I need to remove this partition because I already powered off this system. And let me try to check my cluster status, and currently the resource group is on 01. Let me try to move PCS resource move in 02. Meanwhile the other client system is putting up, and let's check whether this is working or not. And you can see it is going to failover in node 2, and these are the resource started, and now the NFS service is going to start, and it is started. So everything seems to be fine. Failover fallback is working. So only thing is my system needs to boot up, and I need to check. My system is boot up here, and let me just log in as root. And let me check the IP. My system IP is 27, and the IP which I'm going to access, that IP is let me go to this partition, and my IP is 192. If I just check PCS status, and if I check for this one, PCS resource show NFS IP, so I can see this is my NFS IP which I need to check, and the share is this one. Okay, so now let me go to my Red Hat system again and try to mount. So let me just create a directory called NFS test, and in dff1h nothing is there, mk mount 192.168.169.129 is the IP, and my share is share, and I'm going to mount this on NFS test. Done. So I'm able to mount it. Let me check, and I can able to mount it is NFS file system. Let me go inside this, and let me try to write some file. So currently nothing is there, and let me just try to create 3 files with AA123. Sorry, it is A123 which I missed, and let me see, and I can able to create files, and let me try to create some directory as well. mkdir bb 1 2 1 2. So it is going to be bb 1 2 and 11 12. So I can able to create directory as well. So this is working fine. So this is how you have to do it, and let me try another thing. Let me just check. So currently my this mount is available in this client node, and what I'm going to test now is currently crm -con r1, and this resource is in node 2. Let me just try to move in PCS resource, move in node 1 and try to access the node, and let's see whether I can able to. Done. It is moved, and let me see whether it is moving. It is stopped, and it will going to start again. So it is just stopping one by one, and now it is starting, and NFS service is going to start. To start the NFS service, it is taking a little time, and it has started. Great. So everything is started in node 1, and now if I check the service for NFS, it would be stop status in node 2. You see it is in an inactive state, and if I check the same in node 1, it should be in start state. Status NFS service, sorry, it is NFS server, and it is running in node 1, and also the resource group is available in node 1. So now again I need to try to access cd nfs share nfs test, and inside this these are the files already available. And let me try to create some more directory called cc 1 2 3, and I can able to create them. Great. So this is how you have to configure your NFS server in HA environment using PCS Pacemaker Red Hat cluster. Okay, so feel free to write your doubts if you have anything in my YouTube comment section, and also please subscribe my channel, because I'm going to show you more and more about PCS cluster. There are many more videos going to come, and not only PCS, I'm going to show you other cool stuff like OVM. You can see this is one of my OVM server which I have just configured, and I'm going to show you OVM in my future videos. So please subscribe my videos, subscribe my channel, and also please hit like my videos if you feel that my content is useful for you. Okay, so thank you so much for watching my videos. Have a good day.